Hey out there, this is Torrance Smith-Partee, formerly known as the Loud House Critic, one guy with 1,000 views and all the episodes I must review. And I see you actually came back, not only just to see so much episodes I actually liked from season 7, but now everybody wants to know, what episodes do I really hate from season 7? Well, we're about to watch and find out. Because I gotta tell you, there's so much hating that actually went on. And this will actually include some of the road trip stories in this kind of hate list, just so you know. Too cool for school. An episode I would consider freezing my nuts off to. I hated Principal Ramirez in this episode. So as this episode begins, you kind of can't really believe what you're actually seeing going around at the school of why it looks like a Yeti snow cave. Because Principal Ramirez finds herself so much addicted to this Astrid method about getting her kids to learn so much better and be smart better and actually eat healthier, which is kind of disgusting that they got to eat fucking sardines. And even Lincoln and the Freckle Gang were trying to change everything much around into the school to make it so much a heated weather condition again. Because I got to tell you, it's no better to have a big snowstorm in Michigan ever again like this, especially inside of school. And yet Stella tries to disguise herself as Astrid, which doesn't kind of work out nicely and doesn't even match the whole entire description of the character. And in the end, they get so much busted by Principal Ramirez, and turns out the real Astrid actually shows up and actually talks some sense into the principal, which I mean, this girl should have actually been the new principal of the school instead of Principal Ramirez herself. She could be working as a janitor instead of being the principal. And what was with the penguin in this episode anyway? As I would put it for this episode, asshole Principal Ramirez.
Oh, sada mia, like fire, hellfire.
Party foul. Do I even need to tell you all about what I said about this episode and why I hate it so much, especially with one specific character? Short term is, I like the connection with Carl and Lola, especially when they try to switch places with each other. But with the rest of the entire episode, hate Sergio, I hate what he did, and even the ending doesn't even excuse to make things up for what he did. Period.
Like fire, hellfire.
Bringing down the house.
Boy!
I hate this Loud House road trip so much. Because they're visiting the White House, and suddenly there's this guy named Bulldog, who's probably the best character of this episode, while some of the rest of the Louds, like either Lynn, Lana, Lincoln, Lola, Luna, and even Dickhead Lynn Sr. going into different rooms of the White House that they're not even supposed to be in, and they fuck shit up. I mean, the aspects of the White House, they're really not playing and living it up to how the realistic of the White House really exactly works, like how they failed to do that with Not Allowed. I know they fixed everything and just made up for it, but still, they were still caught on video for it. Like, they should have got their ass busted. As much as I hate stupidity with most of the characters in this episode for what they did, even if they managed to fix everything up in the very end that they fucked up, it doesn't save this episode from being bad. And you would think that most of the security people would have caught their little asses right now of them going into different rooms that they shouldn't have to be in, or at least guard the front doors like how much the Brits do. And as bad as this road trip episode is, this is nothing compared to another road trip episode which I'm going to put on this list.
Like fire, hellfire.
Beg, borrow, and steal. Now, before I can get into the real problem of why this episode is so much hate and why I dislike the episode, there were some discussions about this episode where it kind of feels like a double-edged sword. That feels like it's a Lincoln torture porn episode, and others say it's just what he deserved. Well, it kind of feels like it kind of recycled the plot and feels deja vu from a season 1 episode called Sound of Silence, if everybody remembers how that episode turned out. Especially during the first part of the half of the episode where it was Lincoln and Lola and he fails to pay her back and he has to work off his debt to her. And then suddenly he does pay the money out, but he borrowed it from his siblings and he has to work his ass off for them too. And it's funny because some of the characters who didn't make Lincoln do something stupid for him or something in favor in return for them in Sound of Silence, they actually did it in this episode, especially with Lily, Lucy, and Lisa. Because the other two, they actually were in Sound of Silence. They did make him do something for them already, but became a little bit more ridiculous in this one. I can say that Lincoln did kind of deserve to get so much this punishment because honestly, when you failed to pay back somebody, you have to work the debt off for them. Especially when he was stupidly obsessive trying to find the David Steele action figure. When seriously though, on one half of this, he could have at least order it or make a phone call to actually get the David Steele action figure besides pissing away so much money to actually find the damn thing. I mean, he did it once during In Sound of Silence when he got those new frickin' Noise Be Gone earbuds. So I really don't like how the way they threw Lincoln's character out the window on this one, especially when he could have been a lot more smarter to actually do this so much better. I didn't like what he had to go through, but somewhat he kind of did deserve it. And there's also the episode that introduced us to Kara, who later becomes part of the Fracko gang, and further episode in Careless Whisper. Even though there's not too much about her in this episode, but there were a few things that you could actually spot with a couple of her personalities of her being snarky and smart aleck. But she isn't good enough to save this episode. And I just hope we see more of this character in the episode, especially for a hockey episode. So an episode like this, I would consider beg, borrow, or drop dead after you steal.
Like fire, hellfire.
Bizarritorium. This is one of the very first road trip episodes of the Loud House that actually started so much the special in this season, and I pretty much hated this one. And I get that many people actually pity Lincoln for what he did in this episode, but what he really did throughout much of this episode, as I explained before in different types of episodes, that much of his motives are driven by his own vanity, and he'd do anything to get what he exactly wants, along with desperately trying any shortcuts he can find that would make him succeed into getting what he really wants. And not just that, the whole entire episode feels like it's no such luck repeating itself all over fucking again. Because once he takes this kind of ring that he actually took from the museum once they actually left, so much bad luck starts bringing so much on the family on their little trip, and yet Lola actually rats him out at one point, which normally I hate Lola when she does something like that, especially with family bonding. With two characters that behave like this, I want to strangle this road trip special. Even if the ending was so much sweet about how Lincoln actually cleared Rita's name and actually trying to get the actual report at the Niagara Fall or the barrel kind of race, whatever. I'm so grateful that Lincoln actually takes responsibility for his own actions for what he had done, but it doesn't excuse it enough for what he was doing throughout so much, pressuring and pushing his family to get forward to get some desperate measures so he could be at this kind of weird, freaky place. And I really hate how they brought no such back luck and just shoved it right into our faces. And to think that Kings of the Con actually fucking did that to us. With a road trip like this, I would never take it at all.
Like fire, hellfire.
Force of habits, more like force of hypocrites. And I do mean hypocritical as in Lori, Luna, and Lenny. Trying to fix so much their dates up when they were doing so much their usual habits, when it's clearly obvious it doesn't even occur to them that they have so much annoying habits as well. Like we haven't already established that Lori has been saying literally since season 1,
Lenny
has been doing so much of her saying kind of like, as in like, instead of her just posting pits so much. I don't know why that became a new habit for her. And Luna's doing some whatever kind of fucking guitar riff she's been doing in this one. Ever since back then, she used to be using a British accent, or at least make a song reference in one of her speech. I don't see why it's okay for them not to have their dates actually do their annoying habits, but it's okay for them to do their own fucked up habits in season 1 since they've been doing? Fucked up girls. No wonder the parents don't even know how to take care of their own fucking kids. Although I did actually like one part with Sam and Luna when they were having a conversation together, and let me tell you, I felt a little bit more happier for these two. Especially when Sam did it back to Luna, when Luna did it to her in Perfect Gig. I did have a few laughs a couple of times, especially with Lenny's facial expression, which I never fucking thought that was gonna make me shit myself. But they're not enough to actually save this episode for being too hypocritical, as much as the parents are on the same level as they are. It's like if so much of the writers are being so much insecure about them not taking criticism from us. It's like they're trying to give us a message like, so you think we're actually not so much good enough with our writing and actually handling the screenplay and actually directing a movie where they're doing our own kind of special effects? Let's see how you feel about it. Well, here's likely what I could say to this episode along with some of the future Disney live action remakes.
Fuck you.
I'll find her. I'll find her, and I'll find her if I have to burn down all of Paris.
Out of step. I really enjoy Clyde and Annagale's bonding, but I really despise Chandler and Miss Bernardo in this episode. Especially how stupidly blind Miss Bernardo is to actually know that they were cheating, especially how she's even attending at a middle school when she's meant to be in high school. Ain't too bad, but fuck Chandler.
I'll find her. I'll find her, and I'll find her if I have to burn down all of Paris.
Let's break a deal. Fuck Rusty, fuck his actual obsession about this girl that kind of looks like him, that she came from an actual gender bender universe. And I think that shit was actually purposely attended just because of one of the boys. Hate Rusty, and I don't like how the way he was in this episode. Especially how despicable he was to not pay his debt up.
I'll find her. I'll find her, and I'll find her if I have to burn down all of Paris.
Hide and Sneak. One of the very final road trip episodes that I really totally despise how the way they actually finished this off, especially when they actually put a liar reveal in this one, when it was all about the family trying to get their shit done and try to avoid the Casa Grandes, when really they could just drop in and just say hi. I know it was so much of an important job for Rita to actually finish so much of the article. It doesn't hurt for them to actually say hi to their friends. And now, the moment everybody has been waiting for, the #1 most hated episode in the Loud House from season 7 goes to A Dish Come True. This is the episode I really hate the most out of this fucking season. And it really shows, especially when I first reviewed it. In a word, this isn't a dish that really comes true. This is a dish that you just want to throw in somebody's face. I say it because most of the Loud kids are actually derailed and flanonized from what they did back in the episode Special Cook from season 3. It feels like Lincoln actually wants to get his name on a food menu at Lynn Sr.'s table, but somehow Lana, Luann, Lynn, and Luna team up against Lincoln so they can get their own name written up in Lynn Sr.'s menu, but they end up having so much of a fight and nearly half destroying the restaurant. And this creates so much of a bigger problem for whatever happened to them sticking together and actually working together ever since, or at least Dine and Bash. And I know you guys think I sound too much like a dick just because I'm defending Lincoln, but honestly, I don't want to defend Lincoln. And you're saying you're kind of being sexist, and I don't want to defend so much the sisters either because there's nothing so much to like about these characters in this episode. Even what they did in the very end doesn't even make up for what they actually fucked up in this restaurant. Again, it just feels like another girls teaming up against Lincoln episode. Then again, that is with Lynn actually being on her own instead of teaming up with them. And personally, Lana had no reason to actually be in the episode. I mean, what was she even needed for in this episode? This would have been an episode that Lola could have actually been competing in. I see the only characters that were so much mature enough in the episode was Lynn Sr., Katoro, and Grant. At least Lynn Sr. was actually behaving like a man for once, even if he was a bit of a dumbass. And another thing, didn't some of the kids give some of their dad the idea about what they would actually want to put on the menu when he got his restaurant and cooked? Was that even not satisfying enough to actually know that the kids got to get their names on a menu for Lynn Sr.'s table? It's like Disney's giving us a big fuck you for this is the thanks I get.
And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get.
For an episode like this, I wouldn't make a fucking wish on a dish come true. And that, my folks, has been my top 7 hated episodes from season 7 of The Loud House. There won't be much for me to say about season 8 episodes, but at least there are some pretty good and decent episodes. But at least some of the worst is over. For now, anyways.
Killer, thriller.